Happy New Year, everybody. We're down in the workshop again to start on the old Telecaster here, and today's not going to be the most super exciting video. We're going to do some Telecaster deconstruction and really just get it down to the point where it's ready for me to start the old pinstriping process. I've got all the stuff I need to do the pinstriping on the guitar, and I've been studying while I've been gone here for the holidays to try and figure out, you know, what I'm going to do. And I'm not really going to like draw it out and try to make it look perfect, because it's hand pinstriping. It's supposed to look like somebody did it by hand. So we're going to break down the Tele. We're going to strip it down to as far down as it needs to go for me to get to the point where I can do the custom pinstriping. Got all the gear for it. I got it right back there on the table. The one-shot sign painter's paint and reducer, so that it flows out real nice. And of course, I've never done this before, so it may look like a complete total mess. I know it won't be perfect. I'm not expecting it to be perfect because it's hand-painted pinstripes. Anyhow, let's get stuck right into the Telecaster and start deconstructing. Oh boy, good coffee. All right. Let's get these strings off here. So I want to get you guys in here real close while I'm doing the breakdown here of the Tele. And see that right there? That is a shim. A lot of 70s era Teles, CBS era Teles and Strats need not just the neck pocket shimmed this way for action, but also to maintain the center line. If you look at the 12th fret on this guitar, you want the same amount of spacing for the edge of the fretboard on your bassy as you do the treble-y. And because this guitar's neck came off a Nashville Telecaster, but the body down here was actually from a much earlier Mexican standard Tele, just a slight difference in those dimensions. Now you could bolt that on there and just, you know, push the neck right up against the edge of the neck pocket. But what happens is, if you think about it, when the neck turns in relation to the strings are at a fixed point. So if I can take my hand here and kind of simulate what happens, you end up having this effect going on when the neck's not in center line. See that? So it's very critical when you're putting a guitar together, especially when the bolt-on neck and the neck and the body are two different eras, two different manufacturers, that you check the center line. Otherwise, if this isn't on center line, you'll have a problem where the strings are offset one side or the other. And usually when you push this, when you have this condition, and you push the neck over this way, the strings tend to be very short on the treble side, meaning that they're really close to the edge. And when you do, you know, big bends and vibrato, you fall right off the edge of the fretboard. And if you got crappy fret dressing, you can hook the string on the fret end, and all kinds of issues. But when it's all on dead center, I'm not sure how good I can get the alignment here. Hello, camera. You'll also have proper alignment of your strings over the pull pieces, which is pretty critical if you want the guitar to function the way it was designed. So just a little bit about that, and you'll see when I strip the guitar down, I'll loosen the neck up, and then you can see the shim there. Really, if I wasn't making this video here, this whole process to strip a guitar down would take, you know, just minutes. And because these strings are really old, I don't plan on saving them. I'm just going to trim them right off. There we go. Even though I'm not a huge fan of these specific GFS pickups on this guitar, it does not mean that they don't sound good on another guitar. I know it sounds crazy, but it depends upon where they are and how they're mounted and what the circuit's like. There's a lot of electronics stuff that's going on in the background that I'm not going to get into in great detail today, but things just as simple as, you know, whether or not you have 250k ohm pots, whether you have, you know, just a volume or a volume and a tone or two volumes and a tone, even with the same pickups, it changes the circuit impedance and it can change the overall tone. So like I said, while this may not be to my liking tone-wise in this guitar, it doesn't mean that they're not good for another guitar. So I hang on to all my stuff anyhow. I'm kind of a guitar parts pack rat. Let us extricate the Bigsby. Should be a pretty simple deal. In case you're wondering what this guy is here, that is a little tiny bit of stainless steel wire. At one point in time I had graphite saddles on the guitar, and I was isolating the strings from the circuit. It didn't form a proper ground because the strings were anchored on the Bigsby and touching the graphite saddles. So I had to add this little stainless steel wire here, and now the Bigsby is also grounded along with the bridge, and that avoids some of the background noise problems that you'll get because of a grounding issue. I save these little cheese cups here from the cafeteria at work, and I wash them out because it gives me something to put screws and hardware into as I'm taking things apart so I don't lose them. Then I can put a piece of tape on it and tape the lid up, and I know which guitar they came from, what the heck I'm doing with them, and I don't lose track of stuff that is sometimes expensive to find and replace, especially if it's a vintage guitar. I don't think this Bigsby's been off this guitar in maybe, if I had my guess, 10 years. So, a little bit of schmutz there, some cat hair. Other than that, it's in good condition. There's a couple indentations on here, but I mean, I permanently mounted this. So here's your Bigsby, and got your spring, and you can get different tensions and height of springs for these. A lot of Bigsby mods available now that didn't exist when I put this together originally. There's your little isolator, and then there's the Bigsby itself. Taking this apart will be a separate video, but man, I can't wait to get the new tail roller bar in here, because hooking the string ball ends onto these little roll pins is a monumental pain in the rear end. And the Callahan Bigsby upgrade is worth its weight in gold. Now that we got the strings and stuff off of it, and I don't have the Bigsby flopping around there, threatening to mar up everything, let's get the neck screws out and give it a look-see, shall we? Mainly, I just wanted to take the neck off to look for any dirt and debris in the neck pocket. Also, I can't remember the year of the neck. I remember when I bought it, but that's not the year of the neck itself. I know it came off of a Nashville Telecaster, just a standard Nashville Tele, made in Mexico. So you would think that they would be very much the same parts, right? Both made in the Mexican factory for Fender, on and on and on. However, that's not the case, because there's quite a bit of difference in year in manufacture. And you can see all of these parts will leave an indentation over time because there's some shrink back to the finish, but if you have your neck plate and the corners are bent down, you're over tightening the neck screws. Just stop. You don't need to do that, man. I can't tell you how many neck pocket screws I've had to dowel and re-drill the screw holes on, because people gronk this stuff. So my neck comes off. Get that dude out of the way. And you can see right here, that is the neck shim. And it's tapered, and it's made out of a piece of bird's eye maple, one of the end cuts that didn't have the cool ribboning and bird's eyes on it. So this was a piece of scrap. What I did is I stuck this on a block of wood with some double-sided tape, and then I put it on a belt cylinder at an angle to make a tapered wedge, and then peeled it off very carefully with an X-Acto knife. But you can see it goes from the thinnest, which is 10 thousandths, to 35 thousandths. So that's how far out of square the neck pocket is on the body. It doesn't mean that that either of these have some kind of defect. Far from it. It just means that they were made at different times. They've seen different environments. This guitar's neck may have seen more humidity or less humidity, different temperature ranges than the body has since I bought it. Anyhow, I'm gonna put the neck back on it, but I just wanted to show you guys what that all looks like on the inside. Yeah, you can see that's one of the locating holes for the CNC machine. Got some screw holes there from the paddle they used when they finished it, and then my little shim, which I wrote on it, so I knew which end was the thin end, and it just lines up with that edge in the neck pocket, and then I've got it painted on that edge with some black lacquer, so that it just kind of disappears and you don't really notice it. I really like this sage green metallic color on this guitar. I really wish Fender would bring it back. You can see sometimes what you have to do to make stuff work in the world of Guitar Lutherie. And to get my shim back in, this is kind of an interesting process. It comes in from the top, and I put it in enough times that if I take my guitar pick here and I just kind of give it a shove to where it's just barely under the surface of the finish there, that is the correct point of alignment for this guitar neck. It's not really part of the teardown, but just something cool I wanted to show you. Word of advice here when you're doing the neck pocket screws, these are already waxed because I've had them out before, but you could put a little Johnson's paste wax on there, or Minwax paste wax. I like to use I think I got Minwax, but it's just the paste wax you use for the floor. Even a little bit of paraffin would be fine, and it helps lubricate the wood screws as they're biting in. But I will turn them in and out with my fingers to make sure I've actually seated my way into the threads in the wood, because I don't want to just ram the screw in and have it try to cut new threads, because if you do that, it's going to damage the existing fibers of the wood that actually comprise of the threads that have been cut, and then the likelihood that you will strip it out increases. Alright, so now I'm down at the last little bit, and I cannot tell you enough times, and I can't stress it enough, that you do not over tighten these screws. It is not needed. Snug is good enough. Don't over tighten it. It's gonna strip out, and you'll be sorry. Now you can see that's my shim to keep the neck on center line. Pretty nifty. You can do that little trick with the shim there on any Strat or Tele or Jaguar or any bolt-on nut guitar. Probably some need it more than others, especially if you're mixing matching parts, but that was the whole reason for that little thing there, is just to show you guys what that's all about. It's about keeping center line. Get my amp knobs off of here. A lot of the parts on here right now are chrome, and they're going to be nickel when I'm done, because I kind of want it to naturally patina. So, get this guy out of here. I've got all this freaking electrical tape on here. I just don't do that anymore. I use a heat shrink. Here's a Super Strat switch, and this is the magical wire right here that allows the humbucker to be split in specific positions. You can kind of see how that works, right? But I really don't use it, so there's a whole lot of wiring and a whole lot of effort for something I don't really use. So we're gonna kind of just redo this whole job here. I could desolder them, but I got plenty of lead length on them, so I'm just gonna clip them off, all the wires right off the components, just to make this a little bit quicker of a job. Let's see which one of you clever cats out there in the YouTube world could figure out what the date code is on these pots. But wanted to show you these because they're going to go in my hoard of bits and pieces for the guitar stuff. This here is actually a reproduction of the Fender grease bucket tone circuit. And you have to do some research because off the top of my head I don't remember what these values were. And I'm not sure if this was the main culprit as to why I wasn't happy with the tone of the guitar. At the time I thought I needed it, but that's the tone pot, and that's the grease bucket circuit. So I cleaned up the control plate, and man, that is in really good shape. There's not a mark on it. So I'm not using that on this Telecaster. Like I said, I'm going with nickel-plated hardware because it'll just take on a patina. But I want to save this for another project at some point in the future because it's pristine. So how do you save this and put it into your parts stash and not scratch it up? So I just put a piece of tape on each side, some wide blue painter's tape, and then pressed it down, and it's like, it's completely sealed. I mean, you could put it in a Ziploc bag by itself. I mean, if you put it in with a bunch of other parts, you run the risk of scratching it up. But, you know, like I said, now I got a control plate I can put in my hoard of guitar parts, and I don't have to worry about it getting all beat up. So it's like a mouse inside there. I got a mouse in my guitar. So there's my little ground wire. Just a little loop of stainless steel. But I'm going to keep using it because it helps with any potential grounding problems. Gotta be careful about pulling this dude out because I don't want to break these. You see on this side, you got these really fine wires here, and I don't want to break them. But it's held up pretty good over the years, and I'm going to save it. It's just not going back in this guitar. I'm going to strip off the saddles because I'm using those Goto saddles that are brass. When you use a Bigsby with a Telecaster and you do this retrofit trick here, where you notch the back end of the ashtray bridge to clear the strings, because the strings aren't being threaded through the bridge anymore, it doesn't locate them side to side, so if you do a big bend, the string could actually slip. Otherwise, you have to use saddles like these guys. But my new Goto saddles are similar, so I'm going to yank these dudes out and then clean up this bridge plate. There you go, all cleaned up and taken off. Man, I'm glad I don't do this crap anymore. I always heat shrink stuff now because this is just a mess. The electrical tape gets old and gooey. When I buy pickups, I always save all the paperwork for them. For one reason is that I know what the pinouts are, like what the polarity and clocking is, and I think I'm just going to leave that alone right now. Come in here with my finger and hold on to it so I can get the nut to come loose. I'm quite surprised now that I've taken this out because I thought that I had used a Switchcraft output jack when I built this guitar, but I did not. I will be upgrading it to such, but this dude is not a Switchcraft. This is whatever Fender threw on there from their Mexican factory back in 2003 because I probably just reused what it came with. Interesting evolution taking this guitar apart. I can see some stuff that I'd probably do a little nicer now, though. I mean, it's the quality of my work, even when I didn't have any training in lutherie, is still pretty darn good. I can't remember where I bought this pick guard. It was either a WD or a Warmoth. Find out if it's got a label on it. No label, so I don't know. I think this is, it's not celluloid, it's a PVC, but it's a kind of a cool perloid. You can see that's a GFS neck, and honestly I don't remember which model of GFS pickup that guy actually is. Let me finish taking these screws out over here so I'm not doing the work over the body. There's the GFS pickup out, and I'm going to save this guy. As a matter of fact, I'm going to probably put these in the boxes the new pickups came in because I don't have the original GFS boxes anymore. So that can be reused in a different project. Like I said, you never know. I might have a guitar that has a blown out pickup and it's not super high end, and this will work perfectly fine, and it's actually a decent, I mean, it's well made. It's got a nice brass bottom plate. The pickup cover's properly soldered. It's wax potted because I can tell you there's wax on the bottom of it. I can feel it. So yeah, I always keep this stuff. And no, before you ask, I won't sell you these and ship them because you can buy them from Guitar Fetish cheaper and easier than what it'll cost for me to resell that to you. So the pickguard's in pretty good shape. I'm pretty sure I'm going to use it again. Matter of fact, I think I will. But they make ones that are an aged, kind of a creamy pearloid, and I was contemplating going with that, but then I think it would get lost in the cream of the pinstripes. So it might be better just to stick with what I got. Plus, I already have it. I don't have to spend more money. You can use denatured alcohol. You can use naphtha. This is catalyzed urethane. If this was an old guitar that was lacquer, I wouldn't touch it with any of that stuff. But you always want to find a test spot with anything that's finished in a non-catalyzed urethane, like your lacquers and whatnot, because it can turn around and bite you in the ass. You can have the finish literally melt on you, and if it's your customer's guitar and it's not yours, then you have to explain to your customer why you just ruined the finish on their vintage guitar. That's not a conversation you want to have. So I'll work at this for a little bit and get all this wax residue out of here. The last thing for today before I call it quits is I'm going to start putting this conductive shielding paint on here. I need 3 coats, and then it's got to dry overnight, and we're going to line the cavities. I could do the copper foil thing, but I kind of like this because it's a little bit easier to deal with, and it has a little bit of resistance to it. You still need to ground the cavity for it to do its thing, because if you shield the guitar body and it's not connected to the ground on your output jack, it's not really doing much for you. This is from StewMac. It's a water-based cavity shielding paint. You don't have to be too neat with this stuff, but the surface, just like any other painting project, needs to be clean, and this needs to be well mixed. So I'm just going to bring it up to the edges here. And once again, I mean, in this case, y'all don't need to keep watching this, because this is literally watching paint dry. I prefer to stir this and not shake it up. If you shake it up, it gets really bubbly, and then it just it doesn't look as nice when you paint it out. So you could probably still see that it's a bit shiny in there. That's it for today. I really can't do much more because I'm waiting for all the shielding paint to fully cure. It's drying pretty fast. In the interim, I get all my parts in my little cheese cup that I snagged from work. I've also collected some custom shop pinstripe brushes from TCP Global. These guys right here. And I'm really just learning all this stuff. I've also got a MAC 40 squirrel hair liner brush. And I think there's a video I saw of a guy actually pinstriping a Telecaster, and he was using that very brush, and it seemed to have the right line width of what I'm shooting for. I've got some ivory, which is like a cream, off-white, and orange one shot. Got the this is just some oil for preserving the brushes, and I've got some flow enhancer here, which is just to help thin out the sign painter's paint, the one shot. One thing we will do when we get to the wiring video is these routes have to connect electrically to each other. So I'm just going to use like a little tiny screw and a little jumper wire, a little black jumper wire, and then I'm going to take, and I'm probably just going to use a little bit of wire underneath the bridge, because I like to have one central grounding point on the guitar. I'm not sure what I'm going to do in the next video. It depends on how confident I feel about diving into the pinstriping, because I'm pretty sure that's what I need to do next. I'll take a white China marker and I'll just kind of mark out where all the bits go, like the Bigsby and the bridge and the pickguard, because I don't want to accidentally drip paint on them, so I'll leave them off the guitar. And I'll probably do some kind of design here. I don't know what I'm doing with pinstriping. I'm probably going to practice between now and the next video on some scrap stuff to see what the hell I'm doing. Also to figure out how to clean out the brushes and to make sure I don't ruin stuff. But the good thing about learning how to do like hot rod pinstriping on something like this this guitar here is that because this is catalyzed urethane and the sign painter's paint is an enamel, this catalyzed urethane is not going to react with that enamel. So if I completely screw the pooch on this sucker and I hate it and it looks garbage, I can just wipe it off with some mineral spirits, clean it back up, and then just do it again until I get it right. So hopefully I don't go OCD on it and try to make it perfect, because it's not supposed to be perfect. It's supposed to be pinstriped. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. If you wouldn't mind going down to the lower corner there, smash the old like button, and also clicking on subscribe and the little bell icon for notifications. And until I see everyone again, tagline, have fun playing your guitars, used to be what I used, but I'm just going to say, take it easy.